right, in this lecture, we're going to take a look at a turning point in American history which goes down in 1763. And basically what ends up happening is England wins the struggle, the imperial struggle over North America. They beat the Dutch, the Spanish, the French, and the Native Americans in the region. Not all of them are defeated by 1763, and it's a game changer in American history. So let's take a look at what happens. Keep in mind, we've been kind of exploring this, history from 1607 to 1763. The 13 English colonies are developing. They're all kind of formed for different reasons. People are coming for all sorts of different motives of expansion, and they're left alone. In fact, remember Michael Jackson broke down during this period of 1607 to 1763. The colonies were pretty much left alone.
Just leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
And what is meant by this being left alone, solitary neglect, is they were not really effectively enforcing their mercantilist policies. The navigation acts weren't really being enforced. There was widespread smuggling. There was attempts, the Dominion of New England, but that ultimately failed following the Glorious Revolution. And the colonies in this period are accustomed to self-control. They're kind of doing their own thing, creating their own institutions. The House of Burgess in Virginia, the town hall meetings in New England. And so they're kind of doing their own thing. England's away, and things start to change. There's some transformations that occur. And a big kind of change, a moment of change happens in 1754 when the whole thing starts to alter. And what happens in 1754 is the French and Indian War begins. And unlike the other three wars that had taken place between England and their rivals, this one starts in the Ohio Valley in North America. It doesn't start over in Europe. And what ends up happening is this war lasts for 7 years, and it creates a whole new world when it's all said and done. And that whole new world takes place with the Treaty of Paris. In 1763, France is defeated, and the Treaty of Paris basically hands over a huge new chunk of land, new territory for England to administer and control in North America. France is booted. So this changes the game, and that's why 1763 is a game changer in American history. Now, what happens is you're going to have the beginnings of conflict between the colonies and England. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. And the reason why is in 1763, solitary neglect kind of comes to an end. It's never like an official policy, but following the French and Indian War, the British are saying, you know what, we need to reorganize our empire. We need to end this non-enforcement thing that we were doing. And so what they're going to start doing is they're realizing they've won.
Winning. You starting to get the concept now? Oops. Winning.
England's winning. They got this huge chunk of land, and suddenly now these 13 colonies, they're looking at them, but they also got land in Canada. They got other territory, and they're saying, you know what? You're violating the mercantilist policies, the Navigation Acts, the Molasses Act, the Wool Act. And so England says, you know what? We're going to start doing some things, and this is going to cause trouble. And really from 1763 all the way up until the kind of official Declaration of Independence, you're going to have one crisis after another. It's going to die off and then pop back up, but it starts, England issues a Royal Proclamation Act. They're deeply in debt from the French and Indian War, and they're saying the colonists, you got to pay for it, so they pass all sorts of acts like the Sugar Act, the Stamp Act, the Quartering Act, the Declaratory Act, the Townshend Act, the Tea Act, the Intolerable Acts. And all of this causes a lot of resentment among some colonists, not all of them. And it's going to be a long road to the American Revolution, but eventually, Because of what happens in 1763, there is a big change in the course of American history. And if you're taking or watching this video for A-Push, keep in mind this is kind of period 2 into period 3 in the exam, and so you're having the beginnings of tension within the colonies, or an increased tension within the colonies, and who would have thought that the French and Indian War would cause a whole bunch of trouble. Thank you for watching. If you have questions, post a comment. Most importantly, I hope you learned something. Subscribe to Joe's Productions. Tell your friends, your homies, your enemies, everybody you know, your mama, your daddy, your grandpa. And, of course, peace.